The story of NVIDIA, from graphics processing to the AI engine of the world. The history of NVIDIA Corporation is not merely a chronicle of hardware manufacturing, it is the story of a fundamental paradigm shift in computing, driven by a decades-long commitment to parallel processing. Born in the vibrant, often brutal landscape of Silicon Valley in the early 1990s, NVIDIA transformed the way computers generate images, and in doing so, unknowingly engineered the engine that would power the global revolution in artificial intelligence. This journey, led by its charismatic and intensely focused co-founder and CEO, Jensen Huang, is defined by audacious bets, near-death experiences, and the strategic foresight to recognize the massive, latent potential in its own technology. The founding audacity and the early struggle, 1993 to 1997. NVIDIA was founded in April 1993 by three engineers, Jensen Huang, who had previously worked at LSY Logic and AMD, Chris Malachowski, an engineer from Sun Microsystems, and Curtis Priam, a graphics chip designer also from Sun and IBM. The three met frequently at a Denny's diner in San Jose, driven by a shared, bold conviction: the future of personal computing would be centered around graphics, especially 3D, and the traditional CPU architecture was incapable of handling the required workload. They decided to build a company focused entirely on creating specialized processors for this purpose. The company's initial name was Envision, quickly changed to NVIDIA, derived from Nvidia, the Latin word for envy, with the initials NV also standing for Next Vision. Their founding capital was a modest $40,000, but their vision attracted early venture capital from firms like Sequoia Capital, providing the necessary runway. NVIDIA's first product, the NV1, launched in 1995, was a critical failure. It was designed to be a multifunctional multimedia accelerator featuring 2D and 3D graphics, sound, and a game port. And critically, it used an unconventional approach to 3D rendering, known as quadratic surfaces, instead of the industry-standard triangular polygons. This proprietary design proved disastrous. Game developers, who were rapidly standardizing on triangular geometry, driven in part by Microsoft's DirectX API, largely ignored it. The NV1 struggled with compatibility and performance, failing commercially. The company was brought to the brink of bankruptcy. Huang later reflected that in its early days, NVIDIA had a market challenge, a technology challenge, and an ecosystem challenge with approximately 0% chance of success. Facing ruin, Huang made a critical, desperate pivot. He laid off half the workforce and bet the company's remaining cash on rapidly developing a new chip that fully embraced the triangular geometry standard. This desperate, high-stakes move forged the company's core culture of resilience and relentless execution. The successful result was the Arrive 128, released in 1997. Built for compatibility and speed using triangular polygons, it quickly gained recognition in the burgeoning PC gaming market, stabilizing the company and giving it its first true foothold in the industry. The birth of the GPU and gaming dominance, 1998 to 2005. The subsequent years marked NVIDIA's ascent to market leadership. The Rivier TNT, 1998, expanded their reputation, setting the stage for one of the most pivotal product launches in the company's history, the GeForce 256 in 1999. NVIDIA officially marketed the GeForce 256 as the world's first graphics processing unit, GPU. This was more than a marketing term. It represented a structural shift. The GeForce 256 integrated two crucial rendering functions, transformation and lighting, T and L, directly onto the chip, offloading these complex mathematical tasks entirely from the central processing unit, CPU. This innovation revolutionized real-time 3D graphics, enabling richer, more complex gaming worlds than ever before. This success paved the way for NVIDIA's initial public offering, IPO, in 1999, securing vital capital for future expansion. The early 2000s solidified NVIDIA's gaming dominance. They won the contract to develop the graphics hardware for Microsoft's first Xbox console, a massive validation of their technology. In 2002, NVIDIA strategically acquired the assets and patents of its fiercest competitor, 3DFX Interactive, effectively eliminating its greatest rival and cementing its leadership in the discrete graphics market. The release of the GeForce 3, 2001, introduced programmable shaders, allowing developers unprecedented control over lighting and texture, a critical step toward photorealistic graphics. During this period, NVIDIA established an aggressive 6-month product cycle, far faster than the industry norm, driven by relentless execution and a unified hardware-software approach that kept competitors struggling to catch up. The foresight of CUDA and the AI pivot, 2006 to 2015. The most defining moment in NVIDIA's story, and one of the most consequential decisions in modern tech history, was the launch of the Compute Unified Device Architecture, CUDA, in 2006. Huang and his team had long recognized that the GPU's architecture, designed for massively parallel computation, performing hundreds of thousands of simultaneous calculations required for rendering pixels, could be applied to general-purpose computing tasks far beyond graphics. The GPU was essentially a highly efficient parallel processor, while the CPU remained a serial processor focused on sequential tasks. CUDA was the crucial software layer, a parallel computing platform and programming model that allowed developers to harness the GPU's immense power for non-graphics applications like scientific computing, financial modeling, and data analysis. This was an investment of over $1 billion with no immediate commercial return, a massive, long-term bet on the future of accelerated computing. Jensen Huang described CUDA as the company's life's work and its soul. For several years, CUDA served specialized research and high-performance computing, HPC markets. However, around 2012, researchers in the emerging field of deep learning, particularly those building and training neural networks, discovered that the matrix multiplication and linear algebra operations required for AI training were perfectly suited to the parallel structure of the GPU. Suddenly, the GPU became not just an accelerator, but the only practical way to train models with millions of parameters in a reasonable time frame. This realization, often called the iPhone moment for AI, transformed NVIDIA's trajectory. Years before the AI boom became mainstream, NVIDIA began aligning its R&D, product roadmap, and ecosystem development squarely toward this new market. They created specialized hardware, such as the Tesla line of GPUs, later superseded by the Volta and Hopper architectures, and built libraries like cuBLAS and cuDNN, which optimized the mathematical foundations of deep learning to run seamlessly on CUDA-enabled GPUs. The Age of Acceleration and Generative AI, 2016 to present. By the mid-2000s, NVIDIA had strategically diversified its business, moving from a gaming company to an accelerated computing platform company. Its revenue began to shift dramatically, with the data center division, comprising GPUs and networking hardware, rapidly becoming its dominant engine of growth. The release of the powerful Volta architecture in 2017 and the subsequent Ampere, 2020, and Hopper, 2022 architectures were specifically engineered for the exponential demands of large-scale AI training and inference. The introduction of the DGX family of servers, ready-to-use supercomputing solutions tuned for AI workloads, further cemented NVIDIA's role as an end-to-end infrastructure provider. The true inflection point came around 2022 with the explosion of generative AI, ChatGPT, large language models, image synthesis. The training and deployment of these colossal models required computing power on a scale previously unimaginable. Because of the CUDA ecosystem, which locked in millions of developers and integrated seamlessly with all major AI frameworks, PyTorch, TensorFlow, NVIDIA's GPUs became indispensable. The competitive moat created by the software stack proved far wider and deeper than any hardware advantage. Every major cloud provider, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, and every AI startup relied almost exclusively on NVIDIA hardware to build their foundations. Strategic acquisitions further strengthened their position, most notably the 2019 acquisition of Mellanox Technologies for its high-performance networking technology, which is critical for connecting thousands of GPUs together in massive AI factories. By the 2020s, NVIDIA's market capitalization soared, placing it among the most valuable companies globally. The company's focus expanded beyond gaming, data centers, and professional visualization to include key industrial transformations. Omniverse, a platform for building and simulating digital twins, integrating AI and physics simulation for industrial digitalization. Automotive, driving the development of autonomous vehicle technology with its drive platform. Robotics and healthcare, using Jetson platforms for edge AI and specialized frameworks like MONAI for medical imaging. Jensen Huang, through his continued tenure as CEO, has articulated a bold, consistent vision. The end of Moore's law necessitates a shift from traditional CPU-based systems to accelerated computing, arguing that this shift is not speculation, but a fundamental economic necessity to manage the world's exploding computational demand. NVIDIA's story is a powerful testament to the value of technical foresight and strategic patience.